Today we'll be looking into some of the most popular Roblox games that have been hacked, and stay tuned to the end because all these might shock you. Also please subscribe. Our first deal starts Blox Fruits, which are one of the biggest Roblox games ever, having over 25 billion visits. And at the start of this year, the game was actually completely hacked. So firstly, their global announcement feature was hacked, and if you don't know what that is, it's a feature that basically lets them say any message in any server, or across every server, which they obviously use for, well, announcements, hence the name. But since it was hacked, the hacker could say literally whatever he wants across every single server, and since Blox Fruits is huge, that means hundreds of thousands of people will see the message. So right when they hacked it, they went on a huge spree of saying a bunch of random messages, some jokes, targeting YouTubers, and overall it's pretty insane what was going on. And to make it even worse, not only was it hacked just in general, but to reach a wider audience, they were even translating some of their messages to other languages, just so, more people can understand what they're saying. And it's kind of confusing why they were hacking Blox Fruits. It seems that they had some beef with the developer and they want to get like some revenge. And the message and this whole situation actually goes a bit deeper than this. So like the main message he said was this one saying, an important message from your friend Lucky Maxer, remember that name. And then they said to the Blox Fruits developers or something, why did you make my bunny ears error back in 2017 and expose me on purpose? Now I have to turn to my dear friend, the famous FE bypasser, to help me since he would not. And they put like their Discord and then like an ending part. So the reason I said remember that name Lucky Maxer is because that was actually a very popular former Roblox admin and employee. And Lucky Maxer is not just famous for being like an average Roblox admin or employee. He's famous because he actually got fired for doing some pretty insane stuff. The main thing being is he actually worked on one of the icons, and in one of the bunny ears, which he mentioned in the message, he actually made it so he put a script inside of the item. And when he wore that item, he can go into other games and hack them since he was wearing the item. It was a pretty messed up and insane thing that he did. And this whole hack situation seems to relate to that because he mentioned how like one of the Blox Fruits dev like ratted them out I guess for this or something. And overall it's pretty insane because this whole situation runs deeper than you would think. But also with that being said, this isn't confirmed to be Lucky Maxer who did this because it is actually common for Roblox hackers to pretend to be other people for some reason. So it wasn't like fully confirmed that it was him. But this whole situation was pretty crazy, and it wasn't only the announcements that were hacked. Around this time as well, they were hacking like the entire game. So they would add jump scares randomly to scare people, they would play weird sound effects, and they would also completely change and destroy the map by putting like their logo and stuff everywhere. And overall, they kind of made Blox Fruits completely unplayable, but luckily over time they gained access and resetted the game. But with that, let's get into our next game being Arsenal, which is another massive game with over 5 billion visits, and it's actually hacked back in 2019. And this one's a bit different. Unlike the Blox Fruits situation, when you joined Arsenal, you probably couldn't even tell it was hacked for a lot of people. They didn't mess with the map, they didn't add any announcements, they didn't change anything actually. However, when you join the game, there's something small that a lot of people actually just ignored, but a lot of people did end up actually buying it because they put a pop-up right when you join the game saying to buy admin for 80 Robux, which obviously is a bit weird. Why would Arsenal sell admin for especially that cheap? But a lot of people just ignored it thinking it was just another game pass and moved on. But a lot of people did actually buy it, like I said, because they thought they were supporting the game or whatever. What a lot of people didn't realize was that they're not supporting Arsenal, they're actually supporting a hacker. Someone managed to hack this game somehow and add pop-ups that will direct back to their own items, and somehow they made these items not even linked to Arsenal at all. It was actually linked to their own group, so they got all these funds and all the Robux from this. Arsenal didn't get anything. And obviously since Arsenal's massive and you got the pop-up right when you joined the game, a lot of people ended up buying it and got completely scammed by these hackers, and the hacker made a bunch of money from this. And it was overall pretty insane method because we haven't really seen something like this where someone takes over. And usually it would make sense if it was like through Arsenal and Arsenal got the Robux, but the fact that they somehow linked it back to their own group so they get to keep the Robux is pretty insane. And obviously it is really bad because unlike the other ones where it was just kind of messing with the map and stuff, this one actually scammed players and made them lose Robux. But luckily the situation does have a good ending because Arsenal couldn't refund the Robux since the guy did it through his own group. However, to make it up to players, they actually gave them exclusive items and skins and stuff to whoever bought the game pass, which was really cool from Arsenal, and the situation kind of ended on a good note because of that. And with that, let's get into our next game being Royale High, which is another insane game, 9.4 billion visits, and it was actually hacked 2 years ago. And once again, this one's a bit different because what they did was pretty insane. So once again, Royale High looked completely normal. The game icon and everything was fine, and it still had a bunch of people playing it, so the game wasn't that suspicious. However, when you joined, you actually weren't allowed to play Royale High at all, and it'll automatically redirect you to another game called, well, Among Us Tycoon. And in the Among Us Tycoon, they'd also do a bunch of pop-ups and stuff to try to get people to buy Robux, and in general, everyone who played Royale High that day was redirected to this game, and a lot of people were very confused. Some people thought this was actually an official game or like something weird going on, but a lot of people kind of caught on that it was hacked. And the person who hacked it obviously got so much traction from this because Royale High was just a massive game, and everyone started playing the other game. So the game probably made a bunch of money that day from this whole hack. But also, this hacking is different because it wasn't just the game getting hacked or backdoored as per usual, which is usually how stuff happens. Like, usually people have plugins or other methods to backdoor and hack games, and usually when that happens, they don't have access to everything, and they can't just destroy the game. However, they can do announcements and other stuff we've seen with Blox Fruits, for example. This time, that wasn't the case, though. It was actually the fact that the person behind Royale High had their whole account beamed and hacked. Their entire account was hacked, they had all their limiteds stolen, and it was a horrible situation. And obviously because of that, this person had access to the account, so they started messing around with the game. And unfortunately, this situation happened, and also the creator behind the game lost all their limiteds. But with that, Royale High did have like old saves of the game, so they were able to reinstate it. And with that, let's get to our next game being Rise of Nations, which they also had their announcement system hacked. But once again, another different thing happened here too. So as I mentioned, they also had like their announcement thing hacked, and throughout like the whole day, the hacker was putting a bunch of random messages and stuff and just saying a bunch of random stuff. But this time it's a bit different, like I said, because in the other situations that we saw, the whole goal of these hackers was to troll the players. And they kind of wanted a bunch of people in the game because that's like more people seeing the hack. But this time, these people wanted everyone out of the game and stop playing the game. So what they kept doing is that they were kind of like glitching the server and stuff to just make people leave in the first place. But then they would also just like manually start kicking and banning people. So a lot of people are getting disconnected notes saying like banned from the hacker's name. And they're kicking a bunch of people out of the game. And they wanted everyone to like stop playing the game that day. Which is actually pretty insane because their whole like purpose of this was trying to destroy the game. But they didn't really achieve that because after the whole hacking incident, everyone just came back like normally. But they probably lost like players and money that day just because of the hack and everyone's getting kicked. But overall, probably ended up not being that bad for them. And with that, let's get into our next game being Meep City, one of the biggest Roblox games. And it actually has been hacked a bunch of times. And usually when it gets hacked by 2%93. However, since the game has been hacked so much times, a lot of people are saying that most of the instances are probably 2%93 clones and people pretending to be them. But like the first one was probably the original group, which if you don't know who Treacherous is, it's like a hacking group on Roblox, and they're pretty famous for hacking stuff like this. And usually when the game gets hacked, it's always a bit different, but most of the time it's like the same thing. They mess with the people's avatars, they change the map, they mess with people's items, coin balances, and they just destroy the entire game and experience. And last year when it was hacked, they actually put a bunch of messages up, and they gave everyone like bats so they can hit each other. It's pretty weird what's going on. And they also added like weird morphs and stuff, and they completely changed the map and completely destroyed the entire game. And like I said, Meep City wasn't just hacked once, it was hacked a bunch of times, and it's all similar situations like these, where they mess around with the map, the players, and completely destroy the game. But overall, it's pretty insane how a massive game like that, you know, one of the biggest games on the platform, gets hacked that often. And it hasn't been hacked for a while now, but there was a period where it's getting hacked pretty often. And it's been hacked overall like a bunch of times. And I mean, that also goes for like every other game on this list, because most of these games have been massive, especially like Blox Fruits, for example. But like I said, usually these are through like backdoors and scripts and stuff, so it's hard for them to avoid it. And a lot of times people don't even know that their games are in danger. Like, if you guys remember a while ago in 2020, there's a big exploit going around where one of the most popular admin panels was actually like breached and people found a backdoor to it. And since the admin panel was so popular, a lot of popular games had that admin panel, which led to situations like these. And in general, people have other ways of exploiting and hacking games and other backdoors and scripts and stuff. But with that, let's get into our next game being Ragdoll Engine. And right when you join this game, you completely change it and destroy it. So right when you join, for a lot of people, it would flash and pop up images, it would make jump scares, and it also play a bunch of like scary sounds and stuff. These hacks made the game completely unplayable, and it left a lot of people, you know, it made a lot of people leave the game. Because its game would actually get hacked pretty often, and it would keep getting destroyed, and it was pretty annoying for a lot of players, and obviously the developer as well. But what's crazy about the situation is that, in all the cases I've talked about before, the game gets hacked, and then, you know, they struggle for like that day, but then they bounce back, and then everything goes back to normal. But with Ragdoll Engine, that didn't happen at all. Due to all the hacking situations going on and a bunch of other reasons, they completely shut down and deleted Ragdoll Engine, and the game remains fully deleted and will never come back. And that's mainly due to the owner of the game also getting their account deleted, so no matter what happens, this game is not coming back, which is actually insane because this game had 1.6 billion visits. So for 1.6 billion visits to go down the drain like that is actually wild to see. And with this, get into our next game being Treacherous Tower, and this one's also a bit insane and different. So all the cases I talked about recently, they were pretty harmless in terms of like, obviously the hack is bad and it is harming the game, but they're harmless in the sense that they don't actually do anything bad to like the game or the players and stuff. And as I mentioned, for all the other cases, the game's bounced back after a day besides Ragdoll Engine. But with Treacherous Towers, the people hacking the game had different intentions. Usually the hackers want to troll and mess around for a little bit, but their goal was literally to get the game fully deleted. Like, that was their entire goal of hacking the game. So right when the game got hacked, the person changed the map and added like a bunch of stuff, but they didn't just change the map how the other situations do. they actually changed the map to like a random hotel, but then they added a bunch of inappropriate stuff to the game. You know, inappropriate images, inappropriate items, and they did all this to try to get the game content deleted. And also throughout this whole time, they kept putting up a bunch of messages like making fun of the developers. They kept changing the game icon and the game thumbnail and stuff. It was pretty crazy what's going on. And these people and these hackers were literally like, they were out for revenge, I guess. I don't know why they did it, but you can tell that they weren't just doing this to troll people. They actually like hated the developers for some reason, and they wanted to get this game deleted. And at one point, they even changed the description of the game to literally say, report this game for inappropriate content. It was pretty clear what their intentions were. And well, eventually, the game actually did get deleted. It was content deleted for a little bit, and the game was fully messed up and taken down. But eventually, they were able to get the game back, but I'm pretty sure they left the game deleted, and they just made a new one to kind of start over fresh. And overall, these were all pretty insane situations, and there's so much more out there. And shout out to Crazy Train 2015, because I got a lot of information from him. And if you enjoyed, check this video to learn about more popular deleted Roblox games, and I'll see you in the next one.